cold months, sometimes I like a real good butter pecan ice cream. And I have a really good recipe for you that I believe your family will enjoy. So see how I put this together. And it is very simple. All I need is some milk, heavy whipping cream, butter, our pecans, 3 egg yolks, and we're going to use sugar. And of course, we have our flavoring. So now we're going to start out with our heavy whipping cream. And I'm using 1 pint container. And this is going to be placed into a bowl. And I'm going to whip this all together. No sugar will be added to this point. I'm just going to whip this up until it get to the soft peak consistency as you would get whipping cream. And as you can see, that is perfect. So what I'm going to do is after this is all whipped, I'm going to cover this up with plastic wrap. Because with plastic wrap, I'm going to protect it and it's going to go into the refrigerator to keep it nice and cold until I get the custard part for our ice cream together. Now you want to make sure that you have space so that way this could be near the top of the refrigerator. We're going to start out with our 1 cup of pecan halves, and I'm put my skillet on medium heat. We don't want these pecans to burn. We just want them to get nice and toasty. And while we're getting these toasty, this is going to help the pecans to hold their crispness when they're mixed into the ice cream. Now I'm going to use 1 can of evaporated milk. And the 1 can of evaporated milk brought it up to about 1.5 cups. So I'm using the whole can, and this is going to be the base for our custard. If you want, you can use whole milk or 1% milk to make it a low-fat ice cream, but I'm not worrying about the low fat quite yet. I am going to start and also use some butter. Now, this is 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Now, if you want, you can use salted butter, and that way you don't have to sprinkle in the salt later. But this is the unsalted butter. And what I did is after my pecans were toasted, I added my butter to the last at the last minutes, so that way the butter could just kind of help it melt. And as you can see, it has a nice little buttery bubble going on because the butter has completely melted. And I'm sitting them to the side so they can start in the cooling process, because the pecans need to be completely cool as well with the butter before I add them to our ice cream mixture. Now I have my pot on medium as well, and I'm going to pour my milk in there, and this is where I'm going to start with separating my egg whites from the egg yolks. And I'm going to use just 3 egg yolks, and you want to make sure that you take your time and do this part gently and correctly without adding any shells in there. So I made sure that my kids were not around to distract me as I did this step. Now after I got my 3 egg yolks separated, then I placed them inside of my little measuring cup there, and I just went ahead and added my sugar because my milk was finally at a good temperature. And I started mixing this. Now you don't want to get your milk scorched, so you really have to watch it and just kind of take your time and stir it up. And as you can see, the sugar has completely dissolved inside of my milk, and I'm just stirring it really gently because I want this milk to get more of a caramelized almost type texture and look. I went ahead and whisked my egg yolks together, and I started with my imitation butter vanilla flavoring. Now this is going to give that base to the ice cream really good flavor. It's going to help bring out the butter from the pecans and then the natural flavor of the ice cream. Now this is where we're going to start the tempering process with our egg yolks. So you want to add just a little bit of your milk mixture into your eggs, and you want to mix this up slowly. And once your eggs have come to the right temperature, then you can slowly add your egg yolks to the milk mixture that you have on your stove. Now you want to make sure too, in your stirring process, you might end up getting a couple little pieces of the eggs, and you might see how they cooked a little bit. That's because some of it did not temper all the way. So in that process, you want to make sure that you just kind of look out and watch and remove any little pieces of your egg that may not have tempered properly. After you get that all mixed, then we add a pinch of sea salt, not seasoned salt, sea salt. And this is only about 1/2 teaspoon. And I'm just going to mix that in all together, as you can see. and this is going to all infuse and just kind of help with the flavor of the pecans. Now this is where you want to get a separate bowl, and I'm going to place this in a bowl because now we have to work on the cooling process of our custard. So I have some ice that I placed inside of a stainless steel bowl, and I have this inside my sink with ice cold water. And then I'm going to place my custard inside of that ice bath because we want this, like I said, to cool down as much as possible before we start to mix our Cool Whip whipping cream with this custard. And this takes about a good 5 or 10 minutes, and you want to just constantly stir. And once we get that all stirred in, then we get our whipping cream out of the refrigerator and we slowly incorporate. Like I said, that ice bath help cool down that custard, and we're going to fold in this whipped cream with that custard type texture of our milk because we don't want to deflate our whipping cream. I add just half of the portion of the pecans because the pecans is going to also help infuse in that flavor into the ice cream a little bit at a time, as well as help it maintain its crispiness of the nuts. So after I mixed that rest of the custard in, then we're going to freeze this for 45 minutes, and we're going to have this covered, and I have it as close to my vent part of my freezer so that way this can freeze really fast. And as you can see, this is what it looks like after 45 minutes. And then for the second part, I added the rest of my pecans into my custard, and this is going to also get folded in, and I'm going to let it sit in the freezer for another 45 minutes. And so after that second 45 minutes, I did one final stir, and this is to try to help it from the pecan settling at the bottom. And then I also transferred that mixture into my other bowl so that way it can freeze. And this is going to be placed overnight. You want to make sure your plastic wrap covers over the ice cream so no crystallization forms, and this is keep it from turning into ice milk. After it sat in the freezer overnight, this is what the final product look. And I tell you, this ice cream, it is so good. And as I got my scoop, you can see how that creamy texture look, just like what you would get from the store. I mean, this butter pecan ice cream, the pecans were perfect. They weren't gummy or anything. They had a nice crispness to them. This is a really good recipe, and you really should try it. So if you like this video, remember, click like this video. Please share it. Please subscribe to my channel because you can also get more recipes like this in other videos that I have posted on my Dishing With Me Heather D 9708. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Dishing With Me Heather D 9708. I really hope you all try this recipe, and it is fun for the family. So thank you for watching, and God bless.